I'm 30 years old, work as a software engineer in Seattle, Washington, and make about $95,000 a year. I've always been an Android user, currently using a Google Pixel 8 Pro. I consider myself pretty tech-aware, which is why what happened to me was especially disturbing. This started in March 2025. I'd been working from home for the past 2 years since the pandemic, going into the office maybe once or twice a week. I lived alone in a condo in Capitol Hill, and my routine was pretty predictable. Coffee shop in the morning, work from home, gym in the evening, occasionally meet friends for dinner. One Wednesday morning, I was at my usual coffee shop, Espresso Vivace, when my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar notification. It came from an app I'd never opened before called Tracker Detect. The notification said, "Unknown tile detected nearby. This tracker has been near you multiple times." I was confused. I didn't use tile trackers. I'd heard of them. Small Bluetooth tracking devices people attach to keys or bags. But I'd never owned one. I opened the app. Apparently Google had built this feature into Android to detect unknown trackers from various companies, not just AirTags. The app showed that a tile tracker had been detected near me on multiple occasions over the past week. The app gave me an option to make it play a sound. I tapped it. A melody started playing. It was faint, but definitely coming from my backpack. The backpack I carried everywhere. My laptop, my wallet, my headphones, everything was in there. I opened my backpack right there in the coffee shop and started pulling everything out. Laptop, charger, water bottle, notebook, pens. I unzipped every pocket, checked every compartment. In a small interior pocket I rarely used, I found it. A tile mate. A small square device, white with a gray corner. Someone had put a tracking device in my backpack. My hands started shaking. I paid for my coffee and left immediately, driving straight to the Seattle Police Department. At the station, I explained what I'd found to an officer at the front desk. He directed me to Detective Martinez, who specialized in cybercrime and stalking cases. "How long have you had this backpack?" Detective Martinez asked. "About 6 months. I bought it on Amazon." "And you have no idea when the tracker was placed inside?" "None. The app said it detected the tracker near me multiple times over the past week, but it could have been there longer." "Any idea who might have done this?" I thought about it. I didn't have an ex-girlfriend stalking me. I'd been single for over a year. I hadn't had any conflicts at work, no arguments with neighbors, nothing. "Nobody I can think of." Detective Martinez took the tile tracker and said they'd try to identify the owner. Unlike AirTags, which are tied to Apple IDs, tile trackers are registered to email addresses and phone numbers. With a warrant, they could get that information from Tile's parent company. Over the next few days, I was paranoid. I checked my backpack constantly. I scanned my car, my apartment, my gym bag. I didn't find any more trackers. A week later, Detective Martinez called me. "We got the registration information from Tile. The tracker is registered to an email address, davidkn2024@gmail.com. Does that mean anything to you?" "No, I don't recognize it. The account was created 3 months ago. Only one tracker is registered to it. We're working on tracing the email account, but it's likely a burner." "So you don't know who it is?" "Not yet, but we're investigating." I felt helpless. Someone had been tracking my movements for at least a week, possibly longer, and I had no idea who or why. Then 2 weeks later, something happened that changed everything. I was at the gym, Planet Fitness on Broadway. I'd just finished my workout and was in the locker room changing. I'd left my backpack in a locker while I showered. When I came back and opened my locker, I noticed my backpack's zipper was partially open. I always close it completely, always. I searched through my backpack. Everything seemed to be there. Wallet, keys, phone, laptop. Then I checked the small interior pocket where I'd found the first tile tracker. There was something in there, another tile tracker. Someone had been at the gym, watched me, waited for me to leave my stuff unattended, and placed another tracker in my bag. I looked around the locker room. There were maybe 10 other guys, all getting changed, minding their own business. Any one of them could have done it. I immediately called Detective Martinez. "They did it again," I said. "Another tile tracker. Someone put it in my backpack at the gym." "Don't touch it. I'm sending officers to your location." 2 uniformed officers arrived about 15 minutes later. They took the tile tracker and asked the gym manager for security footage. The gym had cameras in the hallways and main workout area, but not in the locker rooms for privacy reasons. There was no footage of who'd accessed my locker. Detective Martinez called me that evening. The second tile tracker is registered to the same email account as the first one, davidcan2024@gmail.com. Whoever's doing this is using the same account. They were at my gym. They watched me. They waited for the right moment. I know, and that's escalating behavior. This person is actively following you, not just tracking you remotely. What am I supposed to do? Be vigilant. Don't leave your belongings unattended, and I'd recommend varying your routine. Different gym, different coffee shop, different times. I took his advice. I switched to a different gym across town. I started going to different coffee shops. I changed my workout times, my grocery shopping days, everything. For 3 weeks, nothing happened. No more notifications, no more trackers. I thought maybe they'd given up. Then one night, I was home alone working on a project for work. It was around 10 p.m. I heard something outside my door, a soft sound, like something being placed on the ground. I looked through the peephole. Nobody was there. I waited a few minutes, then opened the door slowly. There was a package on my doormat. A small box, about the size of a shoebox, wrapped in brown paper. No label, no address, just my name written in marker. I didn't touch it. I called 911. 2 officers arrived and examined the package. They used a portable X-ray device to scan it. No explosives, no dangerous materials. Just something small and electronic inside. They opened it carefully. Inside was a tile tracker and a note. The note said, "You can find me, but I'll always find you." The officers took the package as evidence and increased patrols in my neighborhood. Detective Martinez called me the next morning. The tile tracker from the package is registered to the same account. But the note is new. This person is communicating with you now. That's a significant escalation. What does it mean? It means they're not just tracking you for information. They're trying to scare you. They want you to know they're watching. Detective Martinez worked with the Tech Crimes Unit to analyze the email account. They traced it to a VPN service that masked the user's real IP address. Dead end. But then they got a break. The Tile app requires location permissions to function. When the stalker activated the Tile trackers, their phone's location was logged by Tile's servers. With a warrant, they accessed that data. All 3 Tile trackers had been activated from locations near my usual spots: the coffee shop, the gym, and my apartment building. But one location stood out. One of the trackers had been activated from an address about 2 blocks from my condo. Detective Martinez and a team of officers went to that address. It was an apartment building. They checked the tenant list and found a name I recognized: David Knight. He worked at the same tech company as me. Different department, but same company. I'd seen him in meetings a few times, maybe exchanged a few words in the break room, but we weren't friends. We barely knew each other. They brought him in for questioning. David admitted everything. He said he'd developed an obsession with me after we'd worked on a project together 6 months ago. We'd been on the same team for about 2 weeks, collaborated on some code, had a few friendly conversations. After the project ended, he said he couldn't stop thinking about me. He found out where I lived by following me home from work one day. He learned my routine, and he started placing tile trackers on me to monitor my movements. He claimed he never intended to harm me. He just wanted to feel connected to me. He said tracking me made him feel like we were close, even though we weren't. The police found 4 more tile trackers in his apartment, all registered to the same email account. He'd been planning to place more. David was charged with 3 counts of stalking, 1 count of harassment, and unlawful surveillance. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 2 years in prison with a 5-year restraining order after his release. During the sentencing, the judge said something that stuck with me. Technology has made it easier than ever for people to invade others' privacy. A device that costs $25 can be used to terrorize someone, and the victim often has no idea until it's too late. That was 6 months ago. David is in prison, and I've tried to rebuild my sense of security. But I'll never feel the same way I did before. Every notification on my phone makes me anxious. Every time I'm in public, I wonder if someone's watching. I check my belongings for trackers every single day. I bought a Bluetooth scanner that detects tracking devices. I use it on my backpack, my car, my apartment. I moved to a different condo in a different neighborhood. I requested a transfer to a different team at work, so I wouldn't have to see anyone who knew David. The scariest part is how normal David seemed. He wasn't some creepy stranger. He was a co-worker, someone I'd talked to, worked with, trusted in a professional setting, and all it took was a few tile trackers for him to turn my life into a nightmare. I'll never look at tracking technology the same way again, and I'll never take my privacy for granted, because I learned that anyone can become a stalker, and the tools to do it cost less than $30. I'm 24 years old, work as a barista and part-time student in Austin, Texas, and make about $28,000 a year. I use a Samsung Galaxy A54, and I'm pretty active on social media. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, the usual. This happened in April 2025. I'd been living in Austin for about a year, going to community college part-time while working at a local coffee shop called Mozart's Coffee Roasters. It's a popular spot right on Lake Austin, always busy with tourists and locals. I'm pretty social, always chatting with customers, making friends. I post a lot on Instagram, mostly coffee art photos, pictures of the lake, my daily life. Nothing crazy, just normal 24-year-old stuff. My account was public because I like connecting with other coffee enthusiasts and potential customers. One Saturday afternoon in mid-April, I was scrolling through Instagram during my break when I got a weird notification on my phone. It wasn't from Instagram or any app I recognized. It was a system notification from Android. Unknown Bluetooth tracker detected. A Chipolo tracker is nearby. I'd never heard of Chipolo before. I Googled it quickly. It's a tracking device similar to Tile or AirTags, but less common. People use them to track keys, bags, whatever. The notification gave me an option to make it play a sound. I tapped it. A loud beeping started coming from my jacket, my denim jacket that I draped over the back of my chair. I checked all the pockets. In the inside pocket, tucked against the lining, was a small circular tracker. It was colorful, bright blue, about the size of a large coin. My heart started racing. Someone had put a tracking device in my jacket. But when? I'd worn this jacket to work today. I'd had it on during my walk from my apartment to the coffee shop. Someone had either put it there at my apartment or at work. I looked around the coffee shop. It was packed, probably 40 or 50 people sitting at tables, standing in line, walking around. Any one of them could have done it. I showed my manager, Rachel, what I'd found. She was immediately concerned. "You need to call the police," she said. "Someone's stalking you." I called the Austin Police Department from the back office. An officer arrived about 30 minutes later. I explained what happened, showed him the Chipolo tracker. "Any idea who might have placed this?" he asked. "No, I don't have any ex-boyfriends or anyone who'd want to stalk me." "What about customers? You work in a coffee shop, you interact with a lot of people." "I mean, yeah, but nobody's been creepy or weird. Everyone's pretty normal." He took the tracker as evidence and gave me a case number. He said they'd try to trace it back to the owner through the Chipolo company. "In the meantime," he said, "check your other belongings. And be careful about where you leave your stuff." After my shift, I went home and searched through everything. My apartment, my backpack, my other clothes, my car. I didn't find any more trackers. That night, I posted about it on Instagram stories. I didn't show the tracker or give too many details, just said something like, "PSA, someone put a Bluetooth tracker in my jacket today. Check your belongings regularly, stay safe out there." I got a bunch of responses from friends saying that was crazy, asking if I was okay, telling me to be careful. A few people I didn't know also replied, saying they had heard of similar things happening recently. 2 days later, Detective Lee called me. She'd been assigned to my case. "We got information from Chipolo. The tracker is registered to an account under the name Josh Bradley. Does that name mean anything to you?" I thought about it. I knew a few Joshes, but none with the last name Bradley. "No, I don't think so. The account was created 2 months ago. We're trying to locate this person. In the meantime, have you noticed anyone following you or anything else suspicious?" "No, nothing." "Okay, keep me updated if anything changes." For the next week, I was hyper aware of my surroundings. I watched for anyone following me, anyone paying too much attention to me at work. Any cars that seemed to appear at multiple locations. Nothing. Everything seemed normal. Then one night, I was closing the coffee shop. It was around 10 p.m. I was the last one there, which wasn't unusual. I locked up, walked to my car in the parking lot, and drove home. As I was pulling into my apartment complex parking lot, I got another notification. Unknown Bluetooth tracker detected. A Chipotle tracker is nearby. My stomach dropped. I made it play a sound. The beeping was coming from my car. I parked and searched the entire car. Under the seats, in the glove box, in the trunk, under the floor mats. I found it attached to the underside of my driver's seat with a magnet. Another Chipotle tracker, bright red this time. I called Detective Lee immediately. "They did it again," I said. "Another tracker in my car." "When did you last check your car?" "This morning. There was nothing there." "So it was placed sometime today?" "Yeah, I was at work all day. My car was in the coffee shop parking lot from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. "I'm sending officers to your location. Don't touch the tracker." 2 officers arrived and took the tracker as evidence. Detective Lee called me the next morning. The second Chipotle tracker is also registered to Josh Bradley. Same account. "We've escalated this to active stalking. We're putting more resources into finding this person." "How did he get to my car?" "The coffee shop parking lot has cameras. We're requesting the footage. I'll let you know what we find." 2 days later, Detective Lee called with an update. We reviewed the parking lot footage. Around 3 p.m. yesterday, a man in a hoodie and sunglasses walked through the parking lot, stopped at your car, crouched down near the driver's side door for about 30 seconds, then walked away. We couldn't get a clear shot of his face. "So he knew which car was mine?" "Yes, which means he's been watching you, learning your routine." "This is terrifying." "I know. We're doing everything we can to find him." I started feeling unsafe everywhere. At work, I asked Rachel if I could park my car directly in front of the shop's windows where I could see it. At home, I parked under a light in the most visible spot in the parking lot. I made my Instagram account private and removed anyone I didn't personally know. I stopped posting about my location, my schedule, anything that could give away where I'd be. 3 days later, Detective Lee called me with news. "We found Josh Bradley. We brought him in for questioning." "What did he say?" "At first, he denied everything, but when we showed him the evidence, the tracking data, the parking lot footage, he admitted it was him." "Who is he?" "Do I know him?" "He's a regular customer at Mozart's. He's been coming in for the past 2 months, says he developed feelings for you and wanted to know more about your life." My mind raced trying to remember. We had hundreds of customers. I couldn't place anyone named Josh Bradley. "What does he look like?" Detective Lee described him. Average height, brown hair, usually wore a UT Austin hoodie. Then I remembered. There was a guy who'd been coming in regularly, always ordered a cappuccino, always sat at the same table near the window. He'd make small talk with me sometimes, ask my name, complimented my latte art. But he never seemed creepy, just a normal, friendly customer. "I remember him," I said. "He seemed totally normal." That's often the case. He's been charged with 2 counts of stalking and unlawful surveillance. During Josh's interrogation, he revealed more details that made my skin crawl. He'd been taking screenshots of all my Instagram posts for the past 2 months. He had a folder on his phone with hundreds of photos of me, some from my Instagram, some he'd taken himself at the coffee shop without my knowledge. He'd used my Instagram posts to figure out where I lived, what gym I went to, where I liked to eat. When I posted a photo of my car with the lake in the background, he'd identified the exact parking lot and started looking for my car there. He'd placed the first Chipotle tracker in my jacket when I'd left it draped over a chair at work while I was making drinks. He'd simply walked up, slipped it in the pocket, and walked away. Nobody noticed. The second tracker was placed when he followed me to work and found my car in the parking lot. He claimed he'd never intended to hurt me. He just wanted to get to know me better and feel close to me. The police found 3 more unused Chipotle trackers in his apartment. He'd been planning to place more. Josh Bradley was convicted and sentenced to 18 months in prison with a 3-year restraining order after release. He was also ordered to stay off all social media for 5 years. That was 3 months ago. I've since quit my job at Mozart's. I couldn't work there anymore, knowing Josh had been watching me there for months. I moved to a different apartment complex across town. I got a new car. I deleted my Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter accounts. I check my belongings and my car for trackers every single day. I bought a Bluetooth scanner that detects all kinds of tracking devices. I use it obsessively. But what haunts me most is how normal Josh seemed. He wasn't some obvious creep. He was just a regular customer who smiled, made small talk, and tipped well. And I had no idea he was obsessed with me. No idea he was tracking my every move. No idea he was taking photos of me without my consent. Social media made me vulnerable. By posting about my life, I gave Josh everything he needed to stalk me. My routines, my favorite places, even hints about where I lived. I'll never use social media the same way again. I'll never post my location in real time. I'll never share details about my daily life with strangers, because I learned that anyone can become a target. And the tools to track someone cost less than $25 and fit in the palm of your hand. Every time I'm in public now, I wonder who's watching. Every friendly interaction with a customer or stranger makes me suspicious. Josh Bradley stole my sense of safety, my trust in others, and my ability to share my life online without fear. And even though he's in prison, the damage is permanent. That's the price of living in a world where anyone can track anyone with a device the size of a quarter. And that's a price I'll be paying for the rest of my life. I'm 26 years old, work as a dental hygienist in Atlanta, Georgia, and make about $52,000 a year. I've been using Android phones my whole life, currently a Samsung Galaxy S24. I'm not super tech savvy, but I know my way around my phone well enough. This happened in February 2025. I'd been living alone in a one-bedroom apartment in Midtown for about 8 months. I liked the independence, the freedom to come and go as I pleased without answering to anyone. One Thursday evening, I was driving home from work around 6 p.m. when I got a notification on my phone. I was at a red light, so I glanced at it. It said, "Unknown tracker detected. A smart tag is traveling with you." I'd never seen a notification like that before. I tapped on it, and it explained that Samsung's tracking network had detected a smart tag that had been moving with me for over 30 minutes, and it wasn't registered to my Samsung account. My heart started racing. Someone had put a tracker on me, or in my car. The notification gave me an option to make the tracker play a sound. I tapped it. A beeping started immediately. It was coming from under my seat. I pulled into a gas station parking lot and reached under the driver's seat. My fingers touched something small and square, stuck to the metal frame with what felt like strong tape. I pulled it off, a Samsung smart tag, white with a black circular button in the center. Someone had been tracking my movements. I sat there in my car, hands shaking, trying to think. Who would do this? I didn't have an ex-boyfriend stalking me. I hadn't had any conflicts with anyone recently. No angry customers at work, no road rage incidents, nothing. I called the police. 2 officers met me at the gas station about 20 minutes later. I showed them the smart tag and the notification on my phone. "Do you have any idea who might have placed this?" one officer asked. "No, I have no idea." "Any recent breakups, arguments, anyone who might want to track your movements?" "Nobody. I've been single for over a year. I don't have any drama in my life." They took the smart tag as evidence and gave me a case number. They said they'd try to trace it back to the owner through Samsung, but that could take time. "In the meantime," the female officer said, "check your car thoroughly for any other tracking devices, and be aware of your surroundings." I drove home and immediately searched my entire car. Under every seat, in the trunk, under the hood, around the wheel wells, behind the license plates. I didn't find anything else. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept wondering who had put that tracker in my car and why. How long had it been there? Days, weeks, months? The next morning, Detective Park called me. He'd been assigned to my case. "We're working with Samsung to identify the owner of the smart tag," he said. "These devices are registered to Samsung accounts, so we should be able to track down who it belongs to. It'll take a few days." "How long do you think it was in my car?" "Based on the notification you received, at least several hours, possibly longer. Samsung's detection system alerts you after a tracker has been moving with you for about 30 minutes to a few hours." 3 days later, Detective Park called me back. "We got the information from Samsung. The smart tag is registered to a Michael Chen. Does that name mean anything to you? No, I don't know anyone by that name. Do you have any idea why this person would be tracking you? None. We've brought him in for questioning. I'll let you know what we find out. Later that day, Detective Park called again. Michael Chen is 34 years old, lives in Buckhead. He claims he's never seen you before and has no idea why his smart tag would be in your car. That doesn't make sense? How did it get there? That's what we're trying to figure out. He says he bought a pack of smart tags a few months ago and gave some to family members. He's claiming one of them must have been stolen or lost. You don't believe him? Not entirely. But without more evidence, it's hard to charge him with anything. He could be telling the truth. Over the next week, I was hyper-vigilant. I checked my car every morning before driving it. I scanned my apartment for any signs of a break-in. I looked over my shoulder constantly. Then 2 weeks after finding the first tracker, I got another notification. Unknown tracker detected. A smart tag is traveling with you. I was at work, in the middle of a dental cleaning. I excused myself and checked my phone in the break room. Same notification. A smart tag had been moving with me. I made it play a sound. The beeping was coming from my purse. I dumped everything out on the break room table. Wallet, keys, phone charger, makeup bag, hand sanitizer, gum. And there, tucked into a small inside pocket, was another smart tag. I immediately called Detective Park. Someone's done it again, I said, my voice shaking. There's another smart tag in my purse. Don't touch it, I'm sending officers to your location. 2 officers arrived at the dental office about 15 minutes later. They took the smart tag and documented everything. Detective Park called me that evening. The second smart tag is also registered to Michael Chen. We're bringing him back in. He did it again, even after you questioned him? Looks that way, or someone using his account did. We're investigating. Michael Chen was arrested the next day. They charged him with 2 counts of stalking and unlawful surveillance. During the interrogation, he finally admitted the truth. He said he'd been hired to track me. Someone had paid him $500 to place smart tags on me and report my locations. Who hired you? Detective Park asked him. I don't know. It was all done through an encrypted messaging app. They sent me your photo, your license plate number, and the places you regularly go. They wanted to know everywhere you went for 2 weeks. Did they say why? No, and I didn't ask. I needed the money. The police tried to trace the messaging app account, but it was using a VPN and anonymous payment methods. They couldn't identify who had hired Michael. Detective Park told me this was the most disturbing part. Someone out there wanted to track me badly enough to hire someone else to do it, and that person was still unknown. Do you have any idea who would want to track you? He asked me again. I racked my brain. Family? No, they had no reason. Co-workers? I got along with everyone. Friends? I couldn't think of anyone who would do this. Then I remembered something. About 3 months ago, I'd gone on 2 dates with a guy I met on Bumble. His name was Tyler. The dates were fine, nothing special, but I didn't feel a connection. When he texted me asking for a 3rd date, I politely declined and said I didn't think we were a good match. He'd seemed fine with it, said he understood and wished me well. That was the end of it, or so I thought. I told Detective Park about Tyler. What was his last name? I don't remember. I unmatched with him on Bumble after I told him I wasn't interested. Can you describe him? I gave Detective Park the best description I could. Tall, maybe 6'2", brown hair, worked in finance. Detective Park said they'd look into it. 2 days later, he called me. We found him. Tyler Morrison. We brought him in for questioning. And he denies everything. Says he accepted your rejection and moved on. Claims he hasn't thought about you since. But it has to be him. Who else would it be? We don't have evidence connecting him to Michael Chen or the tracking. Unless we can prove he hired Michael, we can't charge him. I felt helpless. Someone had been tracking me for weeks, and the person responsible was getting away with it. Michael Chen was convicted on the stalking charges and sentenced to 1 year in jail. But the person who hired him remained free. Detective Park said they'd continue investigating, but without new leads, the case was at a standstill. That was 4 months ago. I've since moved to a different apartment in a different part of Atlanta. I changed my hair color, I switched to a different gym, I even got a new car. I check for tracking devices every single day. I bought a detector that scans for Bluetooth signals from trackers like smart tags, air tags, and tiles. I use it constantly. but I still don't feel safe because I know someone out there wanted to track me. Someone who knew where I worked, where I lived, what I looked like. Someone who was willing to pay $500 to have me followed. And that person is still out there, still watching maybe, still waiting. Every time I'm in public, I wonder if they're there. Every time I go somewhere new, I wonder if they know. The technology was supposed to help people find lost items, keys, wallets, pets. But in the wrong hands, it became a tool for invasion, for control, for terror. I'll never know who hired Michael Chen. I'll never know why they wanted to track me. And that's the scariest part of all. Not knowing who's watching, not knowing why, not knowing when they might try again. That's the nightmare I live with every single day.